All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
What is this? Your third podcast in a few months? You guys have been
Third,
on
yeah,
a media
third.
tear.
Or one of them, the one on the news, like a radio show.
Oh, that was live.
That was live,
That's
man.
kinda
People were
scary.
like listening to that driving to work.
What channel was it?
I don't know. I think it was a Sirius XM channel. It was cool though. We had like it was like an official studio.
So wait, that one was called
Oh, morning drive.
Morning Drive, and then we had Kick a Ball.
Kickball was like the Wednesday after the Natty.
Who's the guy that runs that? What's his name again?
The guy that I did it with is Danny Lang,
Oh, they're
and
a
then
couple.
there's someone else that does it in like from like SoCal. I'm not. Danny goes to school. He's from like New York. He goes to school at Cornell.
Okay, word. Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah, they are.
Does Brad like know them? Because he's always.
I don't think he knows them. I think he just like uses them really well. Like they're always like they have so many people like send them like, hey, I'm in the portal, or hey, here's my highlight tape. Like, so I think they just are like, and they're really good at it too. Like U.S. soccer as a whole, I think. So I don't think Brad like knows them, but
it's good. It's good press for college footy for sure.
yeah.
All right, ready?
Let's do it. Let's run it.
Today we're sitting down with Eric Bissell. He's someone who shows up every day with consistency, humility, and a deep understanding of what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself. He brings energy without making it about himself, notices the small things, and holds the standard in quiet ways most people miss. Welcome, Eric, to the Walk On Way.
Thank you, Tucker.
Course,
Appreciate it,
man.
man. I'm excited.
So obviously, I want to talk to you about your role as, or your former role as student manager at UVM, and now you're director of ops. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right on. But before that, I kind of just want to learn more about your background.
Okay.
Obviously, we know each other decently well. We had some overlap in that spring, and have been able to connect since then as I've come back. But yeah, I want to know a little bit about we can go all the way back, talk a little bit about your childhood and growing up in Vermont. You don't have to go too deep. If whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, so I grew up in Vermont my whole life. Born in the hospital right here in Burlington, and grew up. Chose to play a lot of soccer, and then joined Far Post, one of the local clubs, when I was in third grade. And then Brad was my coach for sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to high school, I played basketball in middle school, but I chose to just play soccer. And then that's when Brad left. Got coached by Dubois. And then from Vermont. Soccer's really been my whole life, I think. Just playing, watching. I started coaching as soon as I could. I started working like the front desk at Far Post. Like the second I turned 15. Like, hey Todd, I want to work. Just wanted to be around it. So
it's Todd Kingsbury.
Yeah,
he runs it.
Yeah, he's the head of it, the director. And he still is. So yeah, my whole life's just been Vermont, really. And
soccer family?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I mean, now my parents love it and my grandparents love it, but not growing up. I played baseball when I was young. Wasn't really a baseball family. I played basketball. Wasn't really a sport family in general, but my parents loved it and they always supported me when I did play. So, and they would still go to the UVM games and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you grew up going to those, you said?
I grew up going to them. I don't have memories of when it was on the grass, but I do remember going to Virtue and when it was a brand new turf field, brand new bleachers.
That was when Brad was kind of senior.
Yeah, so there's a picture or video of Skylar Davis, who coached me when I was young and one of the captains, who would also probably be a good person to get on this. I'm sure Brad. Okay, yeah. But there's I was at the game when Skylar he cut the ribbon or whatever to open up the new. Maybe it wasn't the game. I forget exactly, but I remember being there when the stadium opened.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I grew up going to them, being a UVM fan. So
before that, you were going were you going to the Centennial games?
I don't remember. I don't think I was, just because my parents weren't really into it. I was still young enough where it was just rec soccer or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the Virtue games and some even the more recent ones the Quinnipiac game when it was 10 degrees out.
Oh my God! Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, I was there with my family. Or the year before, the Villanova game.
Right.
Yeah.
That was wild. And so your relationship with soccer was just something to do, wasn't big in your family.
Yeah.
But like, you said it was like a big part of your life. Did you kind of have aspirations with it early on?
I did. I think like, so I started playing goalie when I was really young and I always loved it. And then I stuck with it. And then I was like trying to play like college soccer and like just talking to like smaller like D3 schools in the Northeast. But at the time, I really wanted to be like a sports reporter, like sports marketing, sports comm major, and like be like some sort of like sideline reporter or like anchor analyst.
Yeah.
So I was like really, that's like a fairly niche. So like there wasn't many schools that offered that. So like, and I knew like I wasn't like I love soccer, but like I knew that I was gonna prioritize like where I wanted to be like so academically and like socially over that. So I only talked to like a few schools and ended up just not really getting anything that worked for me. And I went to DePaul in Chicago and then didn't like it. Transferred to UVM, then changed my major. And then that's when Brad found out because we had stayed in touch, even though he was at Cornell and in Portland. So he found out, and like I saw him in the Far Post office like 3 days after I got home, and he was just, "Hey, I need a guy, like come help out." Like so I just and that was kind of the start of it, and that was like November 2020. That was right after the West Virginia game.
Right. So that's awesome. And wait, so you were in sports? You wanted to be in sports media, and then you switched to what?
Education.
Okay, when you came here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's an interesting jump.
Yeah, I think the sports media thing was like something that sounded cool, but I realized like early on that it didn't really. I think part of the reason I struggled with like the big change going to school far away was I didn't really feel like I have like a purpose or have like I feel like there was something missing, and I think I quickly realized that missing was like the little interactions and like I realized how much I loved like the community that like my teachers had given me, and also the community that I get when I was like coaching kids or like teaching.
Okay.
So I think that was part of it, and I realized I want to go home, and I kind of have these doubts about my current major, and I realized this is something I love, so it made sense for me to go to education.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So it's like the education was serving as like a community.
100%.
Okay.
And also I think just that relationship that like when I look back and realize like thought like all my favorite moments like growing up in school or with coaches, like I don't really think of like the teachers who like were the smartest or like knew the most content. I think of the teachers that like had the best relationship with you, or the coaches that like I don't remember like Brad, for example, when he coached me when I was like 12 and 13. I don't remember his tactics or like his pregame talk, but I remember like his relationship with us and like how I felt in those trainings and games with him as a coach, or like Adrian Dubois, the same thing. I remember like how I felt and how much I wanted to be like there at training in the presence of those guys. And I kind of want to be someone who like does that when I'm a teacher and a coach. So
okay,
I think that was a big part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember kind of how they made you feel, not what they were saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Sense. Okay. So you wanted to transfer to UVM to get that kind of community back, and you found that a little bit through education and eventually through soccer.
Yeah.
So Brad reaches out to you, and he's like, "I need a guy."
Yeah.
And what were you thinking? Were you like excited about to be a part of the team? Or you were nervous or didn't like it because you weren't playing, or what?
I was excited. So he asked me so DePaul is trimesters, so I was home like he asked me like the Sunday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I didn't even start until the second semester.
Yeah.
So I think right away it sounded awesome. And when I came to UVM, I wasn't like UVM was going to solve all my issues that were going on in my personal life. It was more just like at the time, I really just came to UVM knowing that I could like be home as much as I wanted to, which like obviously that ended up not being the case. Like I love it here, but at the time I just was like UVM is as close to home as I can get, as close to my parents. Like just get me there kind of thing. So I was excited when Brad said that, like, okay, I have something to look forward to for the second semester, my first semester. But definitely nerve-wracking because like I said, I grew up as a fan. I followed, like I remember during that, so that was the 2023 run. I remember during that, like being in the gym at DePaul, like on the treadmill or like between sets, like watching on ESPN Plus, like the games or like, so I was just like a fan of these guys. Like I was a Vermonter. Vermonter loves the UVM sports. So it was nerve wracking, the thought of like I know I'm the same age, but just like the thought of like, oh, like like I don't know. It was like nervous, like, but I was excited. And I went in like it worked well where I only could do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
So like was enough to get to know people, but not so much where it was like overwhelming.
Right.
So yeah.
That's awesome. So some of the people, like, who do you remember really seeing a lot of in that like 2023 run?
Yeah.
And then you kind of came in, and were you like surprised by anyone's personality? Was there anyone that?
Yeah. Who was I surprised by? Well, one person that I was surprised by is Jezza because I had played against him at a showcase, and he was like,
with BlackRock.
yeah, and they do this thing where they come to Far Post, play like 7v7 indoor, like, and I remember like sitting with Joey, because Joey was like on one of the coaching staff in 2022, right. And like after playing him, Joey was like, "Yo, come here, come here." He's like, "What do you think of that guy?" He like points to Jezza. I was like, he was unbelievable, like all these things, and I remember thinking of him as like this, like he kind of like had like gave me like energy vibes where I thought he was like a complete like just like piece of crap. Like I don't know why. I just remember thinking like he was just so just like negative, like off putting. I now know that Jez is more like he's a shy guy and everything, but I thought it was like I was like, yeah, but I don't know. He seems like he could be a terrible like locker room guy. I never turned out to Joey. So when I met Jezza, I was like, oh my god, you're like you're just not at all what I thought it was gonna be. And for people that I really like watched, like I'd say Max. I'm sure a lot of people would say Max, but like he's like scoring all these goals for like a ranked nationally ranked soccer team, and you meet him and he's just like a clown, like in the good way, like he's super professional, but like he's just a jokester and so I would say those two are just based on like like notions I had in my head for no other reason than I just thought. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like that. The Jezza one's funny.
Yeah,
he's like so just like nice.
He's like the nicest guy. Yeah. Like he's been to my grandma's house now. Like they had Easter with us, and like they're always awesome. Like, "Oh, he's so sweet."
Yeah. I love that. So that's how you first got the role. Kind of generally how you were feeling when you came in. So what was your role when you first started again? Tuesday, Thursdays?
Yeah. I mean, officially I was Brad's guy, but I kind of just like walked into training and helped Brad and Rory and was Connor that was there a little bit, helped them set up, did whatever, just really basic stuff like just pick up the cones, put the cones away,
right.
Put the balls and ready for the rondos. Like, I grew up playing goalie, so like if I needed to hit some volleys or like off the ground, whatever, like service to goalies, do little stuff like that, but just kind of like help out, do whatever it was at, like do whatever it needed to be done, I guess. Like, but it was indoor, right? It's January of the spring, so it's super like walk the ball bag up and down from the locker room. Wasn't much like moving goals or anything, right. Just because we didn't have virtue.
What was something you noticed like pretty early on, just about like the culture of the team?
Okay, I'd say two things. One thing is like I would get there early to help Brad and them set up, and like the oldest guys would already be there. Like I remember ZB would always be up there early, hitting a ball off the the wall separating the gym from the turf, just like juggling or passing, whatever it is. Like I remember like my first impression was like the oldest guys, Max, ZB. These guys were like up there putting in extra reps and whatnot. And not just them, oftentimes other people would be up there. But that was my first impression of like this, you can kind of like get a vibe for what people are about. And clearly like their season ended 2 months ago and they're super ready to like get right back at it. And the other vibe was just like how like welcoming it was, and everybody like right away, like they didn't know me. The only people that knew me were Nash and Carl. And Nash he knew me, but like we weren't. I knew Carl better than I knew Nash because we were teammates, and I didn't really see Nash a lot just because he was at school in Mass for 2 years while I was in Vermont still.
Right.
But just the way that like everyone kind of like took me in as like their own, in terms of like I needed to change before and after, and like I didn't want to be weird and like go in the locker room like it wasn't my locker room to use, it's their locker room. And they're like, dude, like come change, like get in here, like there's an open locker, like here's a towel, like little things like that, which is like for them it was just like they're just giving me a towel, but like to me it was like I had coming from a situation at DePaul where I was just in a really dark place mentally, and just like not just I knew I needed a change. I didn't know what I needed, but just coming from that, it's almost like instantly when I got to UVM was like a polar opposite of like family, community, people just like inviting me to go, come hang out at 62, or inviting me to go to like Peter and Jeremy and had like a suite in Sydney. So like just all these little things were like that I realized I didn't have in Chicago made me like we're just like a family, or open up, like whatever I need, I'm one of you. Like they kind of gave me that. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, one thing I think I'm just gonna get this back on.
Oh, no worries.
One thing I think you did a really good job at was, like you were saying, oh, it's not my locker room, it's theirs. Like you just came in very, very humble and like not trying to be like, oh, I'm a part of the team. Like,
Yeah.
which you were a part of the team, but not like, oh, like you just came in a very non-intrusive way, very humble, and just like did your job. And I feel like that's a big part of the culture. It's just like you come in, just do your job, and
yeah,
that's why you're received really well.
Yeah, and I'm talking to people like like after like the fall or whenever, like that's kind of what they said too. But I think for me, like it felt like normal. Like I couldn't see a world where like I appreciate that people are like, oh, you were very humble and you were very walked in and did your job, and like, but like to me that was just like kind of like doing the right thing in terms of like why would like I would, for me as a person, I would never like walk in and like act like I was like, I don't know, like I appreciate when people like say they respect that, and I do like understand. I think it's just the way I was like raised, and like it's who I am. It never was me thinking like, oh, I need to make sure I'm humble and make sure I like say please and thank you. It was just me like, I don't know, just felt like I was like what was normal, and like what felt right was like making sure like there is a clear boundary of like, you guys are on the team. I'm gonna help you do what you need to be the best version of you, to be the most successful team this spring. But like my role is not to be in the locker room before or after training. My role is to help pick up, help set up, and then go about my day. But then the guys on the other hand were like, get in here, like come hang out. So
that's awesome. So that's kind of like a good behind the scenes moment. Are there any other kind of behind the scenes moments that really stuck with you, either from that spring or even if you wanted to jump into the fall?
Behind the scenes moments,
or just anything from like in the team, the locker room that surprised you.
I think just the overall like how I'd say for the spring and the fall, just how everyone is so capable of like interacting with any other person on the team. Like sure, there's people who isn't really behind the scenes, I guess, but the one thing that I remember, and I think that people don't see, is like obviously people have the couple guys they're like the closest with, and you could name, person X is closest with person Y and Z. But I think what we have is like, and me now, I could have like a one-on-one meal with anybody in the locker room and it wouldn't be awkward.
Yeah.
And I noticed that just my first times like being in the locker room, like it like people were walking back and forth. I'm sure you experienced it too. Like people are walking back and forth. People are yelling across the locker room, all these things, because everybody is so like just like friendly and like open and like a brother with everybody. I think that was something where I kind of expected there to be like more like clickiness in terms of like these 5 people, whether it's by age or position or whatever it is, or like starters, whoever it is, like where there's really none of that, which I thought was really eye-opening and impressive.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just the way that the type of people that the coaches get, and like I remember telling Brad like late at the end of the spring, like I think it's so impressive and I respect so much how you're able to get talent without sacrificing character. And I think they hit the mark on all 28 guys, like, and then all, like every single person they bring in, like they just hit the mark with like just great people. And I think that speaks to the whole staff's like emotional intelligence and like just ability to like get a read on people. And but yeah, like I think that's what it is. Like every single person is just like a good person. Yeah. And it's a weird way of describing it, but I think that's just how you're gonna. Everyone's just like a good guy.
Yeah.
There's no just egos or like, I don't know, at least off the field, there's no ego. Like even on the field, there's no one's like doing it out there for themselves. Everyone's like committed, and so
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think the recruiting is like a huge part of it, but it's interesting to hear your perspective. Um, was there a moment, again, either in the spring or the fall, where you really felt like, oh, I'm really a part of it? Was it that moment when they gave you like a locker and kind of place to sit in the spring, or what was it?
probably in the fall.
Okay.
Or like in the summer, I was helping Brad set up the locker room. Um, and I was like handing out, like putting the nameplates in the lockers, just like, okay, like I know that Nash's locker is here. Okay, I know that Max and ZB are right here and here. Like, so I was putting like little nameplates into the lockers, and I got to like the last couple, and I was like putting the new guys, and I was just like randomly putting them in. I was like, they can change it if they want, and I got to the last one, and it was me and Eli's name on it, and I was like, oh, like thank you. He's like, yeah, like he like Brad like had got us a locker to like have our stuff, and that was the first time I felt like, okay, like I belong in terms of like they're looking after me and like keeping care of me, like making sure I'm doing good, giving me this, and like I knew that was because they had seen how much I cared in the spring, and they knew I was gonna like, and Eli of course are gonna keep on like doing more in the fall. So that was the first time where I was like, okay, like there's no like awkward, because even like at the end of this last spring, there was times where maybe I'd be in the locker room like changing before the gym, and like I would see someone, and like they didn't, in their eyes, obviously I knew it wasn't awkward, but for me I was like, oh, sorry, I'm in here, like I just was showering after the gym. They're like, oh, you're fine. So that was the first time I knew like I wouldn't feel awkward coming in and out, like no matter who I see, or like, yeah, just felt like normal. So yeah, when Brad like printed that like name tag,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So getting more into like the team dynamic side,
Yeah.
what do you think that you bring to the group? Is it energy? Is it reliability, humor? Like I think we touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah,
here you say
definitely
more
the humor
explicitly.
part.
Yeah.
But no, I think energy, and I think you said it, like honestly the first two things you said is what I would say, energy and reliability. I think just again, like I'm a outgoing person. I enjoy like being the presence of every single person and staff on the team. So like I think just I'm always going to bring positivity, and I know my role is never to like critique or coach or judge or give my opinion. My role is just do what's asked of me, and then obviously help with the goalies. I help with Pulley all fall, with Nicholas, Lou, and Mitch, and then just do whatever I need. Whether it's some days it was shooting and serving, and some days it was just getting the balls that flew out or went over the fence or whatever. Which I'm more than happy to do both. Um, so I think that for like the energy, and then for reliability, I think I like to think of myself as someone who's like pays like close like attention to detail, and like reliable in terms of like willing to do like if something that someone else doesn't have to do want to do, or just like the stuff that like the dirty work, I guess. But I guess that's kind of why I was there, was like for someone to like do that stuff. So it was never like I was never like, damn, I gotta go run inside and grab a jersey because someone got a bloody nose. It was like, oh, that's literally why I'm here, like to be the guy that can go run in and grab a jersey for the dude that just broke his nose, like stuff like that. So I think that's kind of why, and people probably saw that I was committed and locked in, willing to do whatever like needed, and then that's more after over time that kind of led to like just becoming more close, and even into the fall, the same thing.
Do you think that like those qualities like were brought out of you because you cared about the program, or because like you talked about before, just kind of how you were raised? And could you like point to a moment, or not a moment, but like something similar in your parents or something where it was almost maybe some modeling from them?
I think those qualities were like who I was, who I am, with or without like being like the manager.
Yeah.
But I think being in the role I was given, like, okay, like I think like growing up, I was always the person who saw the kid eating alone at the lunch table in middle school or high school, like, hey, come sit with us. Like little things like that, which like have zero, like, it's so easy to do, and you're making the other person's day, hopefully, or maybe you're not, but like it makes you feel good, whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, which is a really like specific example, but I think what I'm trying to say is like I was always someone who was just like looking out for other people, like head on a swivel, like checking the surroundings, like how are people doing? Do my friends seem like they're doing okay? Do my friends seem off? Like, does this random kid eating alone who I've never said a word to like need a friend for the lunch period? Like stuff like that. So that was kind of who I was, or like willing to like be with a random person in a group project. So I was always like that. Mm-hmm. But I think then getting this new role in the spring and the fall, even in the fall, there was enough of like discomfort or like novelness to it where I was like always on my toes, ready for whatever like challenge was thrown at me, or like ready for whatever. So like not like a yes man in like a bad way, but just like this needs to get done. If I'll try to find a way, and if I can't, I'll tell Brad or Rob or Rory like, hey, I can't do this, or I have no clue what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So I think it's who I am, but then the role and what it requires and how it's not hard work. Like it's not hard. It's just like you need to like maybe take a second and think, or just move fast, or be able to like problem solve on the go. I think that the role like brought out the best in me almost, I would say.
So you had those qualities, but like kind of the pressure of the environment like demanded.
Yeah, I would say I'd never really like showcased those qualities on like in like a meaningful way. Like maybe I was always the kid who like would drive my friends like if we're going to get food or something in high school. So like maybe it's reliability, like okay, this is going to be here at 1:30. He offered to drive, like little things like that, but that's didn't really matter. I think in moments where it really matters, like you know, planning this or picking up this or doing whatever, I think it kind of like made me realize that I can do these things, and realize that like just they could then know they could trust me.
Yeah,
I guess. So.
Okay. And then is there someone on the team or like the staff that, this is kind of switching gears a little bit, but anyone on the team or staff that has like impacted you the most? Obviously you mentioned, Brad was the one that brought you on and you were kind of his guy.
Yeah. So I'll staff and player. So staff would be Brad. So he coached me 6th, 7th, 8th, and the beginning of 9th grade before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And I actually, before he left to go to Cornell, which was like 2 weeks before COVID, he like had a team meeting and like it was all emotional, like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, but I'm leaving, blah, 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 whatever. But he like wrote us letters, and he wrote me this letter, and I don't remember exactly what it says, but I have it framed, and I've had it framed since then, and like I put it on my desk, and one of the lines is like, you're continue to do the things and say the things that need to be said, hold people accountable, like keep the standards high, like for when I leave, like I'll always make time for you, like I respect, like I loved coaching you because your work ethic, little things like that it says. And I guess I do know what it says because I like read it every day. But so he said, those are what he said to like me as a 15-year-old. And at the time I was like, oh, like this coach who I love is like leaving. I was really sad, but I think I read it and I read it and I read it, and I'd read it every day, just like subconsciously, like, oh, I'm doing homework, I look up, oh, there's this letter. So little lessons that, and like things that he wrote in there, like say the things that need to be said, like hold people accountable, stuff like that developed me, I think, just as a player, like into like a leader in the classroom, and when I got to this role. So I think Brad for sure. And player, I don't know, like off the top of the head, biggest impact. It was probably one of the older guys, just because seeing like their model behaviors and kind of like how things needed to be done. Like guys like ZB and Max and Bleaks, and like even though Bleaks like was just like a 1 semester transfer or 2 semester transfer, like just like seeing kind of like the maturity, and like I thought they did a really good job of balancing like school, soccer, life, social, like all of it. So I definitely look up to them in terms of like, hey, like how did you do this, or like how are you able to balance if you want to go on a date with someone and you have a game in 2 days and you have an assignment. It's like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'd say honestly all the older guys on the team, like really just looking up and like looking after like the younger guys and just learning from them either like directly or just like watching their behaviors.
Right. Okay. And I love the part. Both answers I thought were very good, but I love the part about the letter and know that. And I think it's cool, kind of the things he was praising about you, like the work ethic, the things you can control.
Yeah.
And it seems like that kind of seeped into like how you are on the team now. So that's just cool that it carried over. Okay, I want to jump into like kind of what you learned. I'm just gonna make sure the camera's still rolling and fix this.
I was actually cleaning out my camera the other day, and I came across the video you sent me after in Cary.
Yeah.
And I was like picking up the cones, and you were like, this dude just won the Natty, and he's picking up the cones.
that was an awesome moment. Yeah. So this like right after in December when they won the national championship, kind of it was like towards the end of like the celebrations, and you and Eli were both just like picking up the cones, and there's like confetti on the ground, and people are celebrating. I just thought it was really cool and very like symbolic of what you stood for the team, and I felt like you were just a really clear embodiment of like what I thought the Vermont soccer culture is and was, and why you guys were so successful was like you just did you control what you can control. You did your job through the highs and the lows, like no matter what, you're doing your job. And I just thought it was really cool. So we can. I think I must have still a video, so we'll throw it on there. That's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up. So anything you've really learned about? I kind of want to talk about leadership, because obviously you lead in a unique way, not in terms of like a position or a title, but everyone on the team has to be a leader. So what have you learned about leadership from being around this team?
I think I've learned to be a leader in a different way than I ever was, because growing up, or like in high school, let's say, like I was like the leader and the voice of like the teams I played on for like far post and for my high school team. So I was used to being like the vocal leader. My teammates were used to like having me like in their in their ear, or just like being the guy that would like like give it like a team talk or just stuff like that. Which I thought was like leading, and to me, like back then, being a leader was like running your mouth and like saying things that people you thought like want to hear, like like little things that like being a very vocal leader, I guess. And I still led by example, but like my job, I think, was like a vocal leader on my like high school and club like soccer teams. So I think when I came here, it wasn't my job at all. It wasn't my role at all, but still leading in like model behaviors, I think. And like I try to live like by like doing the right thing on and off the field. Like nothing pisses me off more, for example, of like when people are putting their dishes away in the dining hall, or I see someone with Vermont X sport, whatever it is. It's never a soccer, guys, but whenever it is, and I see them drop a napkin on the ground, look down, keep walking, or there's a spot for your plate and a spot for your silverware, and you just like leave your silverware on the plate, or you don't put your trash in the trash, you leave it on your plate and set it down like the dish. Like little things like that, where I think are so like it's like I think it's the wrong mindset people have of like someone else will take care of it, or like it's their job to pick up my trash, stuff like that. So I think I like to live by model behaviors of like put your dishes where the dishes go, put your trash where the trash goes, put your silverware where the silverware goes. And if I do that, I'm eating with Peter and Gianluca and Mitch, they all are gonna do that. And if they're not, I'm gonna be like, yo, like do that. Like so I think little mannerisms like that, or just like mentality like that, and then translate to like not like giving full effort when you're in everything, like setting up the cones, making sure I'm putting them in a straight line, because it does affect if like moving the goal, is it centered? Like little things, like am I in the locker room early? Not that it matters if I'm in the locker room early, but if I'm in the locker room early and then the next guy gets there and the next guy gets there, and all of a sudden the guy who's 15 minutes early, who thought he was going to be the first guy there, is now the 20th guy there, he's probably going to want to get a locker room a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Or if just little things like that, which like maybe they don't matter, or like maybe that guy who got there 15 minutes early is still going to be the guy that gets there 15 minutes early, whatever it is. But like I think enough people are going to like do what you do, or like recognize that, oh, like maybe if he emptied his cup of water before you put it on the dishes, maybe I should. And all this thing, like now you have more and more people, even if it's one more person doing the right thing. I think it's one more person doing the right thing. It's a step in the right direction. And again, I'm just using this like dining hall example because I feel like I've seen it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. Like I feel like fundamentally, it's not a big deal. You leave your knife on your plate, or one of my cones is like a little uneven or whatever with the rest of them. It's not going to be the reason we win a game or not if my cones were straight or not. But just having the mentality that it is, or like if my job is to put the cones down, I need to do it the best because the guys playing, their job is to play the best. Like I don't know, just little things like that. I try to just be a leader through like my actions, because there's no need for me to like be a leader through like my words. There's enough of those around.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, like what you're talking about is just doing little things, and like obviously everyone needs or you need to do the little things to get to the big things.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think you're right on the money. I kind of want to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
To when you were transferring. So
okay.
like you already described the reason, right? You're in a tough situation. You wanted community, and you felt you could find that in Vermont. But when you're making a big decision like that, like transferring, is there one thing you kind of focus on? Is it just completely circumstantial? Like, what helped you choose? Is there one main thing that,
like kind of like one main thing of like why I made the decision to switch,
or just in any big decision? Is there like kind of one thing you value over other things? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think so. In the example of transferring, it really was almost like a no-brainer in terms of just like where I was at. Like, just for me, like I knew I needed to get out of there. Like it was even from like the start of the semester there. I was like my parents were like told me when I finally came home, they were like, we thought you were gonna arrive on like a random Sunday afternoon back home, and like, hey, surprise, I left Chicago. Like it was kind of like that bad. So what made me like know it was the right decision? I don't like. I like to think it was the right decision because look where I am now. But if I could go back, I would have handled it way differently. Like I made the decision to transfer, so I had to get to Chicago on like August 23rd, 24th for like a week of it's like immersion week into the city, and then classes start like the Tuesday after Labor Day, something like that. So I had to get there. I got there like a week and a half before classes start, and I remember calling my mom home, like bawling my eyes out the first Saturday of school. So after 4 days of classes, like I'm transferring, like I'm either dropping out or transferring to UVM. Like I remember. So what I'm saying is, I think I made the decision too quick, and then the rest of the 3 months I was there, I actively tried to not make friends and actively tried to like not build relationships, and like because I knew I was leaving, so I didn't want to like make it any hard, or like it wasn't hard to leave, but I didn't want to like develop a best friend and then be like, hey, by the way, you're never going to see me again. Like, so I think I made that decision wrong. But to go back to your question, it's kind of cliche, but like if it feels right, just like do it. I mean, it was easy for me because I knew I had this fallback option of like my parents are around, but my plan was never to like, and that's like my comfort. So I knew I wanted to fall back to my comfort to then figure out how I wanted to challenge myself. I don't think when I went to DePaul, I don't think I respected how challenging it would be to move and like live without my family and everything. I also quickly learned I didn't know how to make a friend because my whole life was soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't really have to make a friend. You just, hey, these are your 20 teammates. You're gonna be with them that's how my life was.
Yeah.
So I quickly learned I didn't know how to make a friend. But I think for me, going back home was falling back. So I tried to step out of my comfort zone, failed miserably. So I fell back on my comfort zone, which was my family, my home. And then I wanted to think of ways to then actively start to crawl out of my comfort zone and push myself in different ways, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get more into you're talking about the challenges of moving to a new place. What proved to be, you talked about making friends, what proved to be the biggest challenges and
Yeah, the biggest challenge was making friends. I didn't really know. Again, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how, and I was so homesick, and I had a long distance girlfriend at the time. So I was trying to talk to her and go to class and maybe meet a classmate who I become buddies with or whatever. And I was playing club soccer. And that I wasn't loving it. I played it. I didn't love the vibe. Um, but I think the hardest part was just making a friend. I didn't know how to connect with someone. Um, because growing up, all my friends were either my best friends, even to this day, are my friends from hometown.
Mm-hmm.
I went to kindergarten with, so I've known them for 15 years. So going to a brand new place, I was I just didn't know what to do. Also, I didn't realize how, again, back to the community, I didn't realize how much I valued the tight knit, close Vermont community. Um, I realized how I enjoyed kind of occasionally seeing people I know out in public or catching up with someone you haven't talked to in a while. Whereas every face was new, in this brand new, scary location. Um, and I just don't think I was ready for that. I know I wasn't ready for that. I think even now, I need to keep on finding ways to challenge myself. But I don't think right now, if I was, you know, like told I was going to go move to a random city in America and start something whatever, obviously that's not going to happen. My point is I don't even think I'd be ready for that now. I think I still value enough I need my support people around me. But yeah.
Can you describe like some of the feelings that came with that challenge when you were there? You mentioned it being kind of dark. We don't have to go into it if you don't
No,
want, but I'm
yeah.
just curious because I'm sure other people would
Yeah.
experience this.
I was, yeah, I can't. It's funny because two of my four best friends, literal best friends, also went to DePaul. Um, but we all agreed. It wasn't if you go, I'll go, and if you go, I'll go. It was just hey, this is a good school for my friend who's a finance major, a good school for my friend who's a film major, and it was a good school for me as sports comm. But we all agreed hey, we're not living together. We'll see each other, but it's not. We're gonna be friends or not, whether we talk to each other every day or not for 4 months straight. We don't see each other. We're still gonna be best buds.
Yeah.
Um, so as I was struggling, I wanted to fall back on them, and I did at times, but sometimes I felt bad, so I didn't. I wanted to handle it myself. So I can't I was so lonely in terms of I wasn't really wasn't me um I would just go. I also I didn't help, which sounds so stupid, but I had 5 day week. I only had class Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I had 4 day weekends, which sounds super fun, but was the worst possible thing for me because it was just more free time of being in your own thoughts alone. So I would just go on walks and or runs, or I have a screenshot somewhere on my phone of a 2.5 hour phone call with my mom, and I took the screenshot at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m., which means we started talking at 6:30 in the morning. Which for 2.5, I just remember little things like that. I was so lonely. I was just looking for someone to talk to or someone to do something with. Um, but I just never really found it. I guess I would call my mom, I would call my girlfriend, and I would call this a good friend of mine who I coach with, Joey Sapicchio. I would talk to him a lot. He's did a lot for me, stuff like that. So yeah, just really lonely, really like I felt like there was like a void. I didn't know how to what it was, but I just knew I knew I wasn't me. Like I was eating less. I would still go to the gym, but you know, there would be days where like I didn't want to get out of bed. I wouldn't get up. It was just and I now I'm like totally fine talking about it, but like in the moment I was so like embarrassed and like I didn't want to tell a single person. Like it was embarrassing, like waking up early because I couldn't sleep and then not getting out of bed for 7 hours because I was like had nothing to do. I got my homework done yesterday. I have no one to talk. Like it sounds silly, but I didn't know how to act. I just would lay in bed and watch TV and just go on runs. Like it just
No, it's not. That's not silly at all. And thank you for sharing that. Because I'm sure that's not uncommon for people moving to a new place, going to it like really trying to challenge themselves in a big way.
Yeah.
Taking a big leap.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. What I do a better job of now is like I don't need as much like structure or like I do better. I do better now by going with the flow. But in this time, so it was fall 2023. Like I needed like structure. Like I would plan my day out and just little things that I didn't have with these 4-day weekends and just a new spot. Or like on Tuesday I had to go to these 2 classes, but then on Wednesday I had class at the same time, but I had to get on the train and go 4 red line stops south into downtown Chicago, and then figure out how to get to my class. Like all these things were just I didn't have the structure, which didn't work for me. I didn't. I had all this free time. First semester freshman courses, they're pretty easy. Yeah, so I think it was just I lacked structure. So looking back again, like I said, I think I handled my situation terribly because I committed to like leaving too early. So I think if I could do it all over, not that I want to change coming to UVM or anything,
Right.
but I would have tried to build structure in like a way that stressed myself out less. Like I was trying to be so structured. I'm going to the gym at 10. I'm going to eat at 12. I'm going to go play soccer at 2. So if I got to the gym at 10:30, or I was like stressed, crap, I'm 30 minutes behind. It's more stress. I'm already stressful life. So I tried to like I would structure myself. Now I do a better job of structuring my life in like a more unstructured way. Like today, I knew I had to go to the gym. I knew I had to go to Brad's house and start dog sitting. I knew I had to come do this with you. So instead of being like, I'm going to go to the gym at 10, Brad's at 1, Tucker at 7, I was like, okay, I got to go to Tucker's tonight. I got to somehow fit Jim and Brad in today, like before I do that. And I know I have to be at Brad's for a couple hours, let them out, go for a walk, all this stuff with the dogs. So the old me would have been like, gym at 11. Oh crap! I wake up late. It's already 10. I got to make breakfast. Oh, I'm behind. Crap! Like stressed. The new me was like, I woke up really late today. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just change my lift. I'll do a different lift today. Like stuff like that. So I think I do a better job of adapting. But I think again, I needed to come home and have more comfort to then know what didn't work.
Right.
Come home, figure out how I could have changed it to then put those principles to like new challenges. Because if you're that as stressed and as miserable and as like depressed as I was in Chicago, I didn't have the brain power or capacity to think about how can I restructure my life to make it work. I didn't. I physically couldn't do that.
But I mean, it seems like you like got some really important like lessons from that you've actually started to apply, which I think
100%. Yeah.
So I really respect that you were able to like take a challenging period and make something like useful of it. Like you didn't waste your suffering. Like you made use of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Like a couple questions I have is like, one, was it just that like one thing about like that your kind of state, and then one about the change and how and what you felt like was the most important thing in getting out of that?
Yeah.
First of all, when you were in that state, was it that you were ruminating a lot? Like, because you talked about, having a lot of time with your thoughts. Were you just thinking about like the situation and just like continuous, like, was it like thought loops or whatever? And then the second thing is, do you think it was the community that was here, that it was comfortable, or do you think it was just that you just needed any change?
So when I was there, it like definitely was like thought loops. Like I definitely was like overthinking like a lot, and the majority of like my like really like bad periods were like, I mean, I would say like probably like all of September and a little bit of October. Um, and in those months, it was very like, yeah, just be caught up in my own thoughts in my room or on a walk or whatever. Um, and then so when like October rolled around, um, you know, it was a lot of the same, but like, um, I was like, just I had a better, like I definitely was doing better in terms of I knew kind of like I had a grasp on my schedule and I had a grasp on like my life, but it it was still more. It was almost like I was like you like used to kind of like the feelings I was having, or like um just like I ate like a lot of meals like alone, for example, like stuff like that. Where like in the beginning it was like really hard. I was just I don't really know why. It just was, and then in like October and November it was like just like it was normal. And like not that eating a meal alone is bad, but just like every day over months and months, it's like it wasn't every day. Like I ate some meals with like my friend Alex is there, my friend Adam was there. But like more often than not, I was pretty like on my own. So I think in the beginning it was like on my own. I didn't know. I was all stressed, and then towards the end, I was doing better like on the outside. I think like I had a better control of what I wanted to do, and I knew little things I like to do. Like I want to go on a long run, maybe I'll run towards the waterfront. If I want to go to the zoo, whatever. Like I knew like how to like if I want to go to the history museum, like go for a walk, whatever it is. Um, but I still on the inside was like struggling. And I think for the change, I think any change, but I definitely think it had to do with like being home and knowing that I'd be home for a long time because DePaul trimester ended on the week of Thanksgiving. I flew home the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. In UVM, I didn't go till second semester, which was like July 14th or 15th or whatever. So I had these like 7 weeks of like getting my crap together. So I think any change would have been good change, but not like nothing would have been as important as coming home.
And when did like you think things started to really look up? Was it in that 7 week period, or did it have to do with getting the role, with the team, or was it starting at UVM? What was it?
Like things were better when I was home for sure. It's always easier when you have no like school to worry about, like no classes. Um, the spring as a whole was like a tough time in my life. So soccer started off like really good, and then some stuff happened and it like in my life, and it became something to like help take my mind off of it, or um and but like I wasn't really like loving it. Just it was more just like I was just in a difficult spot. And then kind of like towards the end of the spring or the end of the soccer season, I guess spring soccer season, um, it became like something I knew like hey, I was with like my really close friends and with people who want to be around me and I want to be around them. So I'd say like the end of the spring semester started to look up. There was just like bumps in the road and like the early like kind of like February and March of like 2024 was like a tough time, but soccer definitely like helped me get out of that for sure, and just like something to do.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about that. I didn't mean to like
No,
dwell
okay.
on it, but
No,
I
no,
just
no.
think it's really interesting. It's honestly similarly like I moved to a city like recently, and I feel like this past winter I had pretty similar experiences of a lot of thinking, overthinking,
Yeah.
ruminating, and just focusing on like, oh, things aren't going well, things aren't going, and just going deeper and deeper into that hole. And Yeah, I feel like just like recently starting to like get out of that from like through team, like going like return like I stopped playing soccer for a while. I didn't have team.
Yeah.
I felt like I had no community, lack of purpose, a lot of this stuff, and it was like when I started to like reinvest in like team and all that stuff, it like kind of helped pull me out of that. So
Yeah.
I appreciated you sharing that because it's just interesting here, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The cities, man. There's a lot to do, but it's almost like it can be overwhelming.
It can be, yeah, because it's just like yeah, especially when you don't know people, it's almost the anonymity of it. Like Chicago's a big city.
Yeah.
Like you can feel anonymous, which is kind of fun for a little bit, but then it's just like, yeah, it can feel definitely feelings
No, for sure. Like if you have the right people in the right group, it's so fun to. There's literally infinite things you can do in terms of like having fun, going like eating, whatever it is. But if you don't have those people, you almost like not that I felt like left out, but like you see and hear all these people going to do all the fun things.
Yeah.
But you're like, I want to do those fun things, but I feel like I have no one to do them with, or like I don't know how to do them or what to do to get there, like stuff like that. So
Shit, I gotta figure this thing out.
it's all good.
Okay. Can you talk about just the national championship this past fall and kind of how the experience, if it did, if it didn't change anything, that's okay. But like, has it kind of changed how you view things, how you view team, how you view your own life, how you view what you want? Because it was a huge thing. It was a huge thing in Vermont, and I imagine it has to like change how you look at things a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely was like such an honor to like be a part of it and like super like thankful to like just have like a sliver of like just what it like, that went into it and everything. Just as a Vermonter, especially like it just like I'm sure every Vermonter you're gonna interview or talk to is gonna say that, but it's like community UVM is like the standard for sports because there's no pro team. You have to go to Boston or Montreal to get a pro team, like stuff like that. So just being someone that loves the state and the community and the people so much, it's like it meant everything. It kind of like changed my perspective on like almost how like after we won, how like anticlimactic it was interesting to be a part of. Not that we didn't have fun and celebrate, but just it was awesome. And then we flew back on that Tuesday, I think it was. The game was on Monday, I think. So we flew back on that Tuesday, and people were here to like welcome us. And then I went back to my dorm, and everybody went back to their apartments or their dorms or their houses. And then a day later, all the international guys flew home, and everybody drove back home to New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Maine, wherever they were. And then it was like, all right, like see you guys in 5 weeks. But that was just like one thing that I always remember is like how amazing it was, and how 2 days later I was like did that really just happen? Like I'm sitting at home with my family, which is awesome, obviously, but like this we just won the national championship. Like you watch the March Madness and the college football and all these things, and it's like, oh my god, and we know that was us. But then like you get back to campus and there's no one on campus, and like oh, like, that was awesome, but I guess life just continues. Yeah. So I'd say that part of it, like life is always going to go on. But I think we didn't take it for granted in terms of like every game. I would say like from a soccer aspect or like coaching, like leadership, whatever. I'd say the whole team, the whole staff, every training, every game in the NCAA tournament, let's say, um, was like just how do we win the day? How do we have the best training session? How do we have the best flight? How do we have the best pre-match session? How do we have the best meal? Like everything was about like just being the best before every game. It was never like the whole season. It was never national championship. It was like, okay, today we have to beat Harvard. Today we have to then, the next day you have to do your homework. Like it was never, we knew what the goal was, but it was never like, you never look beyond what's in front of you. So I think it'd be really easy to look in front of you, like, oh, we're playing Hofstra, and we knew if we beat Hofstra, like maybe we'd get a home game because San Diego's also unranked in tournament rankings. But like that was never, everyone knew that. Like people aren't stupid, people looked at the bracket, but that was never like, it was just like, okay, like one thing at a time. So I definitely like learned a lot about like the mentality of people and what it takes to like just take it slowly, one thing at a time, when it's easy to look ahead to like College Cup. Um, and the other thing is like if you being a part of those training sessions like before Hofstra and San Diego and Pittsburgh and all these, like every session, if you had like filmed that session and then also filmed the session before like a regular season game, like at Lehigh or home to American, it literally was like looks the same in terms of like the vibe, and everyone's like just themselves. Like I think the guys did an unbelievable job of remaining calm, like in the moment, and not getting so far ahead of themselves and or just like overthinking. Like everybody kept each other just focused on the present. Um, and I think that just benefited everybody. It just made the coaches' lives easier. It made the players' lives easier. So I think two things I kind of learned or like changed my perspective of like how just everybody needed each other. Because I'd obviously never been a part of that, so I didn't know what to expect. But I was surprised by like it was almost like an eerie calmness to it. Like everyone was so like dialed back and chill. So I thought that was really really cool and surprising.
No, it is. That's that like kind of presence, like being in the moment. That's one of the things that I really miss about like being a part of a team, especially like it's like there's pressure, so it's like you have to be. It just focuses you, it brings you to the moment.
Yeah,
I think that's cool. What do you think about things after soccer, after you become soccer? Is like the sports something you want to remain in? Like I know you have several years, so it's not this is kind of a big question, but I'm curious like if you're interested in staying in the game or something outside of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I have 2 more years, and I want to get my master's degree, so maybe three. And I started as the manager and just got hired as director of ops, which is really cool. Which is like nice. It's like the logical next step, which is cool to like just again keep pushing like your comfort zone and new challenges, new experiences. So I'd love to like stay on and learn how to be a coach and learn like model what the coaches do, and then coaching at far post with like youth soccer as well. Um, but I mean, I'm in school to be a teacher. I really want to be a teacher, but I'm definitely not leaving like the coaching door closed, or like I'm keeping it open, I should say. Um, in terms of it, I can see myself doing it. In terms of like being a college coach or being like a coach for youth soccer. I just don't know. I think the good thing is I don't have to know yet. Um, I love working with kids. I see myself in the classroom. I see myself on the field. I don't know what that means. I see myself with like a Division 1 program with everybody there. It's like high achiever, same goal, locked in. Like, but I also see myself like in a classroom with kids of some kids want to be there, some kids don't want to be there, and it's my job to challenge the kids that don't want to be want to be there, and then help the kids that don't want to be there develop skills in the classroom as people to then improve as students. Like I just don't know what I want to do, but whatever I want to do, I want to work with kids. I think I get gratification and I feel warm and fuzzy inside, for lack of a better term, when I know I'm helping others and like doing stuff that like is important, and like these kids, these players, whatever, might not see improvement or changes, but I hope that one day when I'm an old guy and I was this person's teacher, they remember, or like they choose to become a teacher because of how amazing their experience was in my classroom, or they choose to become a soccer coach because they remember about how much confidence I gave them, or how just much they loved like me as their coach. That's kind of like who I want to be, and I just don't know if I want to do like youth soccer and teaching or just soccer. I just don't know, but definitely something around kids and kind of like giving.
Yeah, I think that's a great goal, and it's really cool that you know that about yourself. How have kind of some of those past experiences? We talked about the challenges in Chicago. Talked about what you learned um, from being on the team. Also, kind of just who you are with like the traits that you just naturally have. Going out of your way to invite someone to sit next to you at lunch, or just doing the little things. Like, what can you take from those things to apply to what you want to do? Again, either in coaching or teaching, who knows what it's going to look like, but in helping other people, like how do you think you can use those skills?
I think it comes down to definitely the way I was raised, like my parents for sure. But I think I also developed my own like understanding of what this means. But the way I like simply put, and I know I said it earlier, is like just doing what has to be done, whether it's easy or hard, whether it's fun or pain in the butt, like whatever it is. I think just like in life, you have to like do things. Like there's some things you have to do, whether you love it or don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can do those things that you know have to be done, and if you can have your mindset, or my mind personally, I want to like give advice. I don't think I'm qualified to, but my mindset is like, okay, I really don't want to do. When I get back to Brad's house tonight, I really don't want to take the dogs for a walk.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna want to lay down, watch a movie, but I know I have to. I'm getting paid to do it. I'm gonna go walk the dogs for 20 minutes. So instead of being mopey about it, I'll put a podcast in. Hey, I'll take these 20 minutes to do something I don't want to do, but do something that I want to do with it. I want to learn. I want to better myself. Or, I really don't want to do the dishes from the dinner I made before I came here, but maybe I'll just call my grandma or call my uncle. Like little things like that, where just like if you're able to like find fun in like doing things or like passion or joy in things that you don't want to do because you have to do them.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it helps me a lot. Like maybe I'll blast music while I do the dishes. I don't know. There's like little things that are gonna like never letting like something that could be like affect your vibe or positivity or whatever. Like never letting those things truly affect you. Like maybe on the inside they affect you. You're like, I want to walk these damn dogs right now, but on the outside, at least, if I walk by someone walking their dog, or someone calls me, or like someone texts me, like always not letting, like just being positive with them or being the best person I can be with them. I don't know. I think I've been trying to change, like just not letting, some. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think I'm just trying to say like, if you can change everything and try to make it a positive, I think for me, it's such a better way of living my life.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you're just talking about like shifting your focus. I mean, it's like if simple idea, glass half empty versus glass half full, just like trying to shift your focus into the positive. That's awesome.
I think the other thing kind of related to your question is I was actually talking to my mom about this, and I saw like a YouTube reel or a Instagram reel, but I really like the quote, which is like, don't attribute with malice to what can be attributed with like incompetence.
Okay.
So I think that like,
what does that mean?
To me, what it means is like someone might do something that really pisses you off or really gets under your skin, but in the natural reaction is to get really mad and really heated and want to like blast out on them, whether it's someone that makes a dumb move on the road, or someone who, whatever, like something that really affects you or really makes you mad or angry. I often am like, that person's an idiot. They don't know what they're doing. They blah, blah, blah. But if you just so I'm attributing malice, I'm attributing that I'm saying to me, they had malicious intentions behind what they did to me. They were purposely trying to ruin my night, ruin my life, ruin my day with their intention. But if you think to that, like incompetence, like in less of like a negative sense, but like maybe they're driving like an idiot on the road, weaving in and out of traffic because they're driving to go see their dying family member or go to the hospital or go see their pet that's dying, or like go rescue their kid, like whatever it is. Like those are extremes, but like instead of being like, oh, that person is such an idiot, or that person is trying to ruin my life, just like, oh, I wonder what's going on in their life to make them do that, or like they probably had no idea that what they did affected me. That person who just cut me in line, maybe they didn't even realize that they cut me. Maybe they didn't realize I was in line. So I think I just I try to not like live by that quote, but I try to like think about that when something affects me. And I think like, oh, sometimes maybe the person is generally like has malicious intentions, but I think more often than not, people just are in their own worlds doing their own thing, and no one really.
I like the driving example, the one like, oh, maybe they're driving to see someone that's in the hospital or something.
Yeah.
It makes me, what you're kind of saying makes me think of this other quote that I really like, and I feel like you're totally already hitting on it. From Ted Lasso, the "Be curious, not judgmental" one.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to pass judgment, say, "Oh, they're doing this," but if you're like you are, if you're curious like you are, you say, "Oh, I wonder why. I wonder why they're doing that."
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of want to get into some thinking. I know we talked about what you want in the next couple of years with soccer or whatever. Do you have any big goals and anything you're really setting out for in the next? We'll keep the timeline short because I know these questions are annoying at this time in college, but like we would say 2-3 years, or maybe the rest of college.
Rest of college.
Yeah.
I really don't like. In terms of like I have like maybe like personal goals, or like I want to be better at this. I want to improve my.
We can talk about that too if you're open to it.
Yeah, I think I want to like. I mean, the easy answer, everyone says like I want to travel more. Like, sure, I want to go. I really want to go to like Central Europe.
Okay. Why do you want to travel more?
I think I just haven't experienced enough. Like, I think I love it here, and I've been on a couple. Like, I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to Liverpool and Manchester in England. I've vacationed to Cancun. I've vacationed to Puerto Rico. Like, I've been to places, but I really want to like go somewhere and just like see more of the world, because just honestly, just because I kind of want to. Like, no reason.
No,
really.
that's reason enough.
Like, I love Vermont, and but it's just I have been here for a really long time. And I was here for 18 years. I left for 4 months, and I came right back. I would love to just see more of the world. But I think like personally, what a goal of mine is to just keep just like improving what I see are like my weaknesses. And also like strengthening my strengths. But I think like a weakness of mine, which I kind of mentioned I'm trying to work on, is like working on like going with the flow. I think I still like need to go with the flow more and just let other people take the reins. Or I think sometimes I know that, or in my head, if I'm like in control or in charge of whatever situation, I know that will be able to like do it right. So I think sometimes, but then that leads stress. Like being in control, being in charge of things leads to like stress or anxiety. So I need to just like be able to trust other people that they're gonna do it right or do the right thing for in any situation. And the right thing might not be what I thought, what I was gonna do. The right way to drive to Boston might not be the way I was going to go. Right. But if I let someone else drive and they still get me from point A to point B, why does it matter? Like, I don't need to like sit there and be like, oh, you're supposed to take left. Like, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Again, maybe a weird example, but just like broad example to like, I need to be more willing to like let other people like take control and like have that trust in people. Yeah. I think I just need to be more like open-minded as a person. I think definitely have these like preconceived notions about people I don't know or have barely met, or just like ideas or just whatever, that I think everyone probably has different preconceived notions, but I think I just want to work on like interacting with people or in places or with things that maybe can challenge my notions, or like make me realize that I was correct, I guess. But sometimes I feel like I can be too closed-minded without experiencing whatever it is I'm close-minded about.
Interesting. I like that. And then one of the last things, I guess this is almost a That's just a different way of asking that last one. But is there anything you'd want to be remembered for, either on the team or just as a person? And this doesn't have to be by a lot of people, but by the people that know you best. Like, how do you want them to thank you?
Yeah. I hope that when people like talk about me to their friends or family, like I hope they just like say like how much like he cares and like in everything it is, whether it's a relationship or a friend, whatever it is, like being on like a part of the team, whatever it is. I just hope that people like tell others like how much I care and how like I'd be willing to like for the people who I'm close with, for the people who I have love for, like be willing to do anything for them. That's kind of like who I want to be like known for as a friend and as a person, like selfless and very like does whatever people need him to do for their good, not necessarily for my own good. I think I like yeah, for me, like if people say that about me or like have those feelings about me, whether like I don't need them to tell me that, but if I know that they're going home and like telling their friends and parents and girlfriends, whoever it is, like those things about me, I'll know that like I have done at least what I think I need to do, which is just give to the greater cause, I guess, right. Or like in this case, it's the team. Or when have a family, give to my family. I hope my future wife tells her friends like, "Oh, he's a great dad because he helped." Like I don't know, it's like stuff like that. Like I want to be known as someone who like gave and is selfless, not someone who like I mean other things too. But like if the first thing someone says about me is like he's selfless, he's a selfless leader, that's all I really care about. I think
that's awesome. I love it. Yeah. We touched on a little bit about your background, UVM soccer. We talked about the national championship, some of the team dynamics, some of your like personal values, and reflecting on like some challenging times and how you were able to like really successfully pull yourself out of, which I think is amazing. And a little bit about your future and who you want to be. Is there anything else you want to cover?
No, it was good. Like I think. Yeah, I can't really think. I think we touched it all. So I think so.
Awesome. Yeah, no pressure. I was just wondering if there's anything you wanted. But yeah, I think that was awesome. I think you did a really good job because it's not easy to do, especially like being younger. To, like come into this, it can kind of be like a
I feel like I don't have that many like life experiences or like
doesn't like, well even if you just take those two. That one, if you take like your whole college journey so far of, taking a big jump and then, finding yourself in a tough situation and like you took action, you made a change and it, paid off massively. You have this really cool role. You're super valued. Everyone on the team loves you. Like Brad speaks so highly of you. Brad speaks so highly of you. And then everyone else just loves you and really gives you a lot of very deserved credit for being a part of that national championship team. So, I think that's an awesome story, even if you just look at that window. And I'm so happy to have been able to be teammates with you for 3 months or whatever it was. But yeah, no, I think you did a great job because it's not easy to come in this setting. But you've got great experience, and I think
awesome.
It'll resonate with people.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yes.
Appreciate it, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me dig a little bit on that stuff. I'm always like wary. I don't want to like fraud too much.
No, it's all good. I think it's funny because like I'm